In a world where strength rules all, Yi-Junlin was once hailed as a genius but is now scorned as trash. Our protagonist awakens in Yi-Junlin's frail, aging body, shocked by his unexpected fate. Struggling to accept this harsh reality, he becomes obsessed with uncovering a system, believing it's his key to turning the tide. Little does he know, the system is about to answer, but not in the way he expects. This is the story of strength through adversity. My cultivation knows no limits. A voice screamed out in frustration, demanding to know what the hell is happening. As he looked down at the ground, he rubbed his face, only to feel the wrinkles and creases of aged skin. His body ached all over, and panic set in as he realized something was terribly wrong. Freaking out, he recalled his last memory, falling asleep in his math class. Now, here he was, in an unfamiliar place. He screamed in disbelief, declaring that he was a 61-year-old man. Anger surged through him as he raged at his fate. He had never been on a date, never experienced the joy of being with a woman, and was about to start college. And now, he woke up as an old, decrepit man, feeling like a worn-out weasel. He declared that there was no way he would accept this. Placing a finger to his head, he paused and began to think. Realizing that he had traveled through time, he reasoned that this old fart's body must belong to some kind of hidden master. Determined, he decided to check the body's memories right away. As he delved into the old man's memories, he discovered a world vastly different from anything he had ever known. People soared through the skies on flying swords, their movements defying logic. It quickly became clear that he was in a cultivation world, a mystical place called the Kunlun realm. Through the memories, he found out about the cultivation ranks, each representing a step toward ultimate power and immortality. The levels were Ch refinement, foundation establishment, core formation, nascent soul, soul transformation, integration, great ascension, tribulation, and finally, true immortal. He then discovered that the body he inhabited was called Yi-Junlin. This guy had once been a big deal, a straight-up prodigy who had reached the core formation stage at a young age. On top of that, he had been a Misty Peak master in one of the top 6 sects of the eastern region, the Ch1 sect. But of course, someone had grown jealous of Yi-Junlin's talents and set him up with a mission that turned out to be a trap. He was captured and his Danshan was destroyed, leaving him unable to cultivate any longer. All his powers were stripped away, and he was reduced to a total loser. After that, trust issues plagued him, and he spent decades wasting away on a mountain, avoiding everything and everyone, until he reached the age of 110. Seeing all of that, he couldn't help but cry. He muttered to himself that he was just some old fart now, and if he did the math right, he was already nearing the end of his life. In a fit of frustration, he screamed out, "Bro, I just got here." But then, a light bulb went off in his head. He recalled all the web novels he had read, where time travel always came with cheats. Excited, he suddenly felt a surge of hope and commented to himself, "There's still hope." He slammed his walking stick into the ground, pointed to the sky with a cheeky grin, and declared himself the system's daddy, demanding it show itself immediately. But nothing happened. He just stood there, looking stupid. Unwilling to give up, he accused the system of playing hard to get and said he didn't have time for such nonsense. He urged it to stop messing around and come out. Still, nothing happened. Finally, he tried a different approach, softening his tone. He admitted he was only joking earlier and begged the system to appear. But he thought about other ways the system could show up and started smiling. He wondered if the old man might have a ring, and if it was the item that contained the system. He hoped this old, broken body had something like that. He found an old ring and thought he had finally got the system. Then he started freaking out, swearing at the system, demanding it come out because he knew it was in there. But nothing happened. Feeling ripped off, he tossed the ring aside, pointing to the sky and cursing the system. Just then, the system appeared, stating that it had detected excessive cursing and reminding the host to keep things civilized. He cried tears of joy as the system finally revealed itself. He commented that it was about time, as he had been screaming for it to come out and was almost ready to give up, thinking he had been sent to a boring story. The system apologized for the delay, explaining that it had been in a deep sleep. To make up for it, it offered a newbie gift pack and asked if he wanted to open it. He screamed in excitement, unable to contain himself. He had been waiting for this moment. Then, the system revealed that he had unlocked a special ability, strength through adversity. As long as his opponent was stronger, he would instantly jump to a level higher than them, with no strings attached. He couldn't believe his eyes and questioned whether it was telling the truth. All he needed to do was face someone stronger than him, and he would survive. The last part, where it mentioned there were no strings attached, sounded like a scam. But the system insisted he should trust it, claiming it wasn't a scam. It teased him, urging him to give it a try, stating that it was legit. Seeing that the system seemed to be telling the truth, he got excited, declaring that he was overpowered now. All he needed to do was start fights with people stronger than him, and the easy life was about to begin. He laughed to himself, thinking everything was falling into place, but his excitement was shattered when the system giggled and reminded him that it had forgotten to mention one important detail. He only had 1 hour to live. Immediately, he started struggling down the mountain, muttering to himself that he knew it was too good to be true. There was always something he had to do in return. But now, he had bigger things to worry about. He needed to find someone strong, or he was done for. A few minutes had passed, and he was barely holding on. He complained about how the old owner had left his body at the top of the mountain, and now he had to deal with it. To make matters worse, the system reminded him that he had only 35 minutes left. He told it not to rush him, as this body felt like it was going to fall apart at any moment. He just hoped it would last. But a massive storm in the distance caught his eye, and he questioned what a horde of beasts was doing there. Meanwhile, in the heart of the storm, the sect leader, Ch1 demanded to know who dared to mess with his Ch1 sect. A mighty eagle beast flew in front of him, calling them all scum. It stated that Su didn't think this king of beasts would survive, but it had returned to put them in the ground. Su, with a calm expression, recalled meeting the beast in battle many years ago. He remembered heavily injuring it before kicking it off a cliff, as it had slaughtered too many people in the land. Su mocked the beast, saying its return would save him time, as he no longer had to hunt it down. The beast let out a booming laugh and began powering up, its energy crackling in the air like something out of Dragon Ball Z. Mocking Su, telling him to watch and learn as it transformed into a fearsome super beast. Su's confident facade began to crack. He could feel the beast's overwhelming power, and with growing dread, he muttered that it had reached the nascent soul level. One of his sect members, trembling, blurted out that they couldn't handle it now, especially with its power level over 9,000. Desperate to maintain composure, Su declared that they had to act fast. Rallying his sect, he ordered everyone to attack as a group, hoping their combined efforts could make a difference. Meanwhile, the Beast King, brimming with confidence, commanded its minions to charge. Chaos erupted as beasts and cultivators clashed. Far away, the old man struggled to move, his body trembling with exhaustion. With the system's timer ticking down, he gasped and muttered, "Someone, anyone, just hit me already." The system reminded him to get his ass moving as there was only 20 minutes left. The old man panicked, shouting desperately in their direction, but muttered in frustration that they were still too far away. He climbed back up, muttering he didn't have time and had to go all in on this plan. Meanwhile, the Beast King mocked the sect members, calling them weak. With a smirk, it fired a powerful energy blast, knocking them all to the ground. As they struggled to recover, the Beast King laughed, saying they were no match for him now. The Beast King pointed at them, demanding they surrender. Suddenly, it heard a voice calling it a dumb bird, mocking it for being all talk and no power. Furious, the Beast King yelled back, calling the old man an old crusty geezer and questioning if he truly wanted to see its power. The old man, unfazed, continued to mock it, stating he was standing right there and waiting for the dumb bird to prove itself. He couldn't help but think how grateful he was for the old owner's memories. Using a spirit stone, he amplified his voice, mocking the Beast King even further. The Beast King, now at the end of its patience, snarled, stating that it had never met anyone so cocky in its entire life. The old man, unfazed, continued to taunt it, replying that now it had. Meanwhile, Su looked on, questioning if that was their junior brother, Yi. One of the worn-out members commented, saying that the Misty Peak legend had finally come out. Another wondered why Yi, who had been quiet for decades, had chosen this moment to appear. Su, with a hint of doubt, remarked that Yi was probably trying to help, but he was no stronger than an ordinary person now. Another member questioned why Yi would dare trash-talk the beast, wondering if he truly wanted to meet the afterlife. Hearing Zhu's conversation, the beast laughed, commenting that it was that washed-up loser from way back. The old man continued to mock the bird, calling it all show and stating that he wasn't going to die from just words. The system chimed in, saying it was nice to know him as there were only 10 seconds left. The old man felt his life fading and complained that this oversized bird brain was talking forever. As the system counted down the last few seconds, the tension in the air grew thick. Suddenly, the Beast King fired an energy beam, declaring that since the old man wanted to see his power so badly, he could experience it now. The old man taunted, "It's about time. Come at me, baby." In that moment, a strange energy surged through him, and his eyes glowed. The system then activated, displaying a message. Detected the host being attacked by an early-stage nascent soul opponent. Activating Strength through Adversity passive skill. The host has advanced to mid-stage nascent soul. The energy from his eyes surrounded his body, transforming his old form into a younger version of himself. He looked down at his hands, now surrounded by a powerful aura, and wondered if this was the power of the nascent soul. The system's voice rang out, confirming it. "Yep, that's nascent soul power, baby. The system doesn't mess around. Now show me what you've got." With newfound strength, he used his own power to push back the Beast King's energy blast with just one arm. Just then, the Beast King felt some serious god-tier vibes coming from the person he had just called a loser. The shockwave he created forced the others to cover themselves. One of them asked what was going on, while another wondered whose power this was. As the attack faded, the old man, now in his new form as Yi, stood in his newfound power. He thought about the previous owner and silently thanked him for the body, vowing to take it from here. Activating some of his energy, he marveled at his new strength, understanding now why the Beast King had felt like a god. This power was far beyond that of a normal person. Meanwhile, the Beast King was in shock, realizing that Yi was not only in the same realm as him but was stronger. The shock on the Beast King's face was nothing compared to the expressions of the sect disciples. One of them exclaimed that it was impossible for Yi to be at that level, while another remarked that all those years Yi had acted like a washed-up has-been were a cover. He had pretended to be a powerless loser, hiding away from everyone to reach the level of a nascent soul cultivator. They muttered, calling him a sly devil for keeping his true strength hidden. The sect leader and the disciples watched in stunned silence as they processed what had just unfolded. Some of them questioned whether the person before them was truly Yi, recalling the rumors of his former status. One disciple commented that Yi's newfound power placed him among the elite in the entire wasteland, and now, their sect had someone of that caliber. Meanwhile, the Beast King, panicked and desperate, began backpedaling. He claimed that everything was a misunderstanding and suggested they end their feud, even offering a vague promise to catch up later. But Yi, unwavering in his anger, scoffed at the Beast King's words. His voice was cold as he demanded to know how it could be a misunderstanding when the Beast King had attacked his home, resulting in the deaths of his brothers and sisters. The system announced that Yi had earned a new random skill called Heaven Finger as part of his transformation. Yi smiled and activated the skill, his energy surging with power. Calmly, he questioned the Beast King, asking if the beast would let it go if he had done the same to its clan. The Beast King caught the meaning behind Yi's words. It hesitated before responding, pointing out that Yi was strong but not invincible. It warned that if Yi insisted on a fight, he might win but would not escape without injuries. Yi calmly warned the Beast King that he never acts unless provoked, but if anyone dares to challenge him, he will not hold back. He accused the beast of being the scourge of the land, likely responsible for countless deaths, and declared that its reign of terror ends now. The Beast King, unfazed, let out a cold laugh. It vowed that if it must, it would destroy its own core energy to drag Yi down to hell with it. Yi smirked and dismissed the Beast King's pleas, calling it a foolish bird. With a wave of his hand, the skill activated, and a massive meteor tore through the clouds, falling straight toward the Beast King. The Beast King froze, knowing it was over. Desperate, it begged for mercy, offering its wife, its clan, and everything it owned. It pleaded, saying it had just reached this power and hadn't even enjoyed it yet. Yi's gaze remained steady as the meteor descended, obliterating the Beast King. The rest of its clan scattered in terror, fleeing for their lives now that their leader was no more. Yi, however, wasn't finished. He looked toward the fleeing beasts, his expression hardening as he thought of his fallen brothers and sisters. With a single motion, the power from his hand extended outward, crushing the retreating beasts and ensuring none escaped his wrath. He landed in front of the sect leader, his presence commanding attention. He casually remarked that the beasts wouldn't be a problem anymore. The sect leader, grateful for the unexpected help, thanked Yi for saving them in their time of need. He quickly apologized, acknowledging his past judgment of Yi, admitting that he had thought Yi was broken and never imagined he would possess such strength. Su Kyangsu, head of Fragrance Peak, smiled at Yi, trying her best to charm him. She commented that Yi was not one to stay down when the sect was in trouble. Zhao Dezu, head of Hidden Swords, nodded in agreement. He reminded everyone that Yi was from their shadow sect, the ones who protected the sect from attacks. Yi looked at them with a faint smirk, seeing how they spun stories to protect their leadership. He didn't mind, though it saved him the trouble of explaining everything. Just then, a disciple rushed in, urgently calling out that they had big problems. The Wine Thunder sect had suddenly appeared, hijacking their spirit mines and energy veins. The disciple reported that their brothers had taken heavy damage from the attack. The sect leader clenched his fists, furious. He cursed the Thunder sect, saying they had never been friendly, but to take such bold action now was something else entirely. The sect leader's voice grew fierce as he addressed his people. He pointed out that their sect relied on the mine and vein to stay relevant. Without them, they would be doomed. He rallied his people, urging them to take back what was rightfully theirs. Yi, however, understood the bigger picture. The Thunder sect was one of the 6 major forces in the land, and now he saw why they had attacked. At the same time as the Beast King had struck, they had kicked them while they were down. He sneered, calling them scumbags for such a cowardly move. Just then, the system chimed in, suggesting, "Bro, head to the Thunder sect. There's a reward waiting that will put a smile on your face." Yi glanced at the system's message, a smirk forming on his face. He thought about the potential strength he could gain from taking on the Thunder sect and agreed, deciding that it might be the perfect opportunity to grow even stronger. Yi interrupted the sect leader, saying he would deal with the Thunder sect and wipe them out completely. The sect leader agreed, calling Yi a savage. He told them to hold things down and flew off. As he soared into the sky, the sect leader turned to the others, questioning when their sect had such a badass, to which one of them replied, "We never had one." Meanwhile, at the Thunder sect, a few disciples were talking about how easy it had been to lure the demon beast king to the Heaven sect while they took control of the spirit veins. One of them commented that their sect would become even bigger now. However, another disciple wondered if the demon beast king would come for them next. A third disciple reassured them, saying not to worry, as someone from the Feathered Immortal sect had arrived today, and with their presence, nothing would happen to the Thunder sect. Meanwhile, Chen, the sect master, questioned the elder about his disciple, asking if it was true that the boy had been steamrolling people. He also inquired whether it was true that a venerable figure had taken him as an apprentice. The elder responded that he had personally traveled a long distance to deliver the news that the boy would one day become a legend, especially with Great Son, the Venerable, teaching him. The sect master was overjoyed to hear this news about his son. As others congratulated him, the elder added that his son wanted to give the leader an upper-grade nascent soul pill as a token of appreciation. Everyone was shocked to see the pill, and one person remarked that their sect leader was going to be the next nascent soul cultivator. The leader smiled, proud of his son, and commented that his son had always looked out for him, truly blessing him today. But then he asked the elder a question, only for the elder to cut him off, stating that a bird was no issue for him. The leader nodded in understanding and thanked the elder, commenting that if the elder hadn't helped with the bird, their sect would not have obtained the spirit vein today. Suddenly, the building was smashed as someone broke through the walls. A voice questioned how they managed to bypass their array. Yi had arrived, and he looked around, asking if this was the Thunder sect. The sect leader demanded to know who dared storm into their hall, asking if they had become tired of living. Yi simply smiled and nodded, agreeing that he was here to storm the place. He then introduced himself. The disciples could only feel Yi's aura, realizing that he was at the nascent soul level. Meanwhile, the system spoke up, commenting that it took him long enough to reach that point but was still willing to give him a new toy, the King Seal of the Great Void Art. Yi gave a thumbs up, clearly pleased with the new addition, and remarked that he liked the new toys. Meanwhile, the leader questioned why someone like Yi was here, stating that they would never mess with someone on this level. However, the name sounded familiar, and the leader asked how they had offended him. Yi, unimpressed, told him to stop playing dumb, reminding him that he knew exactly who Yi was. He then stated that the leader had teamed up with the Demon King to invade his sect, and now he was here to erase them from the map. The leader's expression changed as he finally recognized Yi. He couldn't believe it, Yi, the so-called good-for-nothing loser. Realizing that if Yi was here, the Beast King was already dead, he glanced back at the elder for help. The elder, unfazed, dismissed Yi as nothing more than a bug to him. The elder let out his killing intent and coldly stated that Yi must break his own arms, and maybe then he would let him leave alive. Yi looked at the elder with "Are you dumb?" expression, then turned to the leader and questioned if the elder seriously thought he would just kiss up to him. The elder called Yi an arrogant punk as he stood up, unleashing his powerful aura. Yi, however, stood unfazed, acting as though nothing was happening. The disciples of the sect, sensing the elder's level as a divine transformation master, murmured that Yi was already dead. The leader, regaining his confidence, laughed, declaring that this time Yi was truly finished. Once Yi was gone, his sect would be next, and he demanded that Yi beg for mercy. Maybe, just maybe, he would ask the elder to let him live. With a psychotic grin, Yi smiled in excitement and mocked the elder for only being at that level. He was genuinely happy, as he declared that now he had new test subjects for his new toys. Meanwhile, back at the Heaven Sect's spiritual vein, the sect leader had dealt with all the invaders except for one. However, news of the powerful elder who had visited the Thunder Sect reached the sect leader. The last invader smirked and mocked the sect leader, questioning why they would believe the attack involved only the Demon Beast King. The invader revealed with a sly grin that the elder from the immortal sect had taken their sect leader's son as a disciple. In return for the son's outstanding performance, the elder had come personally to offer his support. The invader rose from the battlefield, brushing off the dust with a mocking laugh. He declared that he was unsure how the Beast King had failed, but it did not matter. With a sneer, he demanded that the sect leader kneel before him, suggesting that perhaps they could save themselves by becoming slaves. Hearing enough, he ended the invader's life and declared that they needed to go help Yi against the elders that were on their way. Su Kyangsu commented that Yi might be strong enough to face the elder, but Zhao Dezi disagreed, stating that it was not possible for Yi to handle such a powerful opponent alone. The sect leader stated that he would beg the elder to spare Yi, declaring that Yi was the hope of their sect. Meanwhile, back at the Thunder Sect, the sect leader and others mocked Yi for laughing, stating that he had gone mad and that it was clear Yi was going to die. Just then, the elder mocked Yi, stating that he was from a wasteland where his sect was nothing but ants. He claimed that to his sect, they were like grass, something he could step on to end them. The elder's voice thundered with rage as he declared that Yi would regret mocking him. With a cruel smile, he vowed to wipe Yi's entire sect off the earth, showing no mercy for those who dared challenge him. Yi interrupted the elder, his voice cold and confident, telling him that he talked too much for someone so weak. With a smirk, he added that the elder's threats were meaningless to him, as his true power far outclassed anything the elder could muster. He mocked the elder, challenging him to a duel. He boldly declared that the winner would have to take the Thunder Sect's son, making it clear that the stakes were high. Suddenly, the elder attacked, unable to tolerate Yi's mocking any longer. He roared that Yi was as good as dead for daring to challenge him. Meanwhile, the sect leader locked onto the shockwave with a smile, thinking to himself that the Heaven Sect would finally be his. Just then, the system chimed in. "Bro, you're going to level up to peak divine transformation cultivation because of the ability. Now, kick his ass." Yi just stood there, understanding that this was what he wanted. Yi made fun of the elder, stating that the elder was too weak and asking where his power was. The elder's confidence shook as he realized that Yi was stronger than him. The elder, once so sure of his superiority, now found himself facing a power he couldn't comprehend. His previous arrogance crumbled in the face of Yi's overwhelming strength. The sect leader condemned the Heaven Sect for hiding such power from the world, while the elder struggled to understand how such a small place could create someone like Yi. The other disciples remarked that having a nascent soul cultivator was already a rare thing in this area. but to reach the divine level was a once-in-a-millennium occurrence. Another disciple couldn't believe it, thinking it was impossible. The sect leader questioned whether the elder would be able to handle Yi, but the elder confidently stated that he would be fine, as his sect possessed powerful techniques that Yi could never understand. Yi called the elder useless trash and told him to bring it. The elder, now furious, activated his most powerful skill, determined to crush Yi. He scoffed at the idea that someone from a backwater sect like Yi could possess a technique like his. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed his top-tier earth-grade technique, Azurwood Palm. Dark, shadowy hands emerged from the ground, swarming toward Yi, their power heavy with the promise of destruction. The elder was confident that no one could survive such an attack. The disciples watched in shock, their eyes wide as they saw the overwhelming power of the elder's Azurwood Palm. They had never witnessed such a display before, but they weren't surprised after all. The elder was a top-tier cultivator. For someone of his level, this kind of power was expected. Even so, the sight still left them in awe, knowing that they were witnessing something truly extraordinary. The elder, now filled with confidence, declared that this was the end for Yi and his backwater sect. His voice echoed through the air, full of certainty as the dark hands surged toward Yi. The elder believed that no one could survive this attack, especially not someone from a place as insignificant as Yi's sect. Yi, with a mocking smile, called the elder's skill nothing but a trick for kids. He confidently declared that he would show him a real skill. As the dark hands rushed toward him, Yi stood his ground, ready to unleash his power and prove just how outmatched the elder truly was. Yi activated the King Seal, and a massive hand appeared behind him. Then, an immense energy being manifested, towering and ready to strike. The elder and the sect leader, now fully aware that there was no chance of defeating Yi, stood frozen, overwhelmed by the sheer power before them. Yi waved his hand, and the massive king behind him attacked. The king moved swiftly, placing its colossal hand over the elder. Panic took hold of the elder as he tried everything to block the attack, but nothing worked. Screaming in terror, he begged Yi to spare his life, pleading his position as someone from the immortal sect. He mocked the elder's sect, telling him that he didn't seek out trouble, but wouldn't hesitate to end those who provoked him. The elder, desperate, insisted that his sect could not afford his death and threatened to come back and destroy Yi's sect. Yi simply told the elder to disappear. With a single, swift motion, the king's hand crushed the elder, ending his life instantly. With the elder gone, the sect leader kneeled, his voice trembling as he apologized, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. He declared that the Thunder sect would now submit and serve under Yi, with all present following suit and kneeling, promising to serve as his dogs. Yi, unimpressed, questioned if they were even worthy of being his dogs. The sect leader quickly reminded Yi that his son was with one of the top 3 elders of the immortal sect and was destined for greatness. He asked Yi if he was truly willing to offend someone of such high status. Yi's eyes gleamed with excitement. He understood that this could be a chance for him to grow stronger. He then coldly reminded the sect leader that those who provoked him would be destroyed. With that, he signaled the king to act, and in an instant, the Thunder sect's fate was sealed. The king attacked, and the sect had no means of stopping it. The Thunder sect would end today. As the Thunder sect was blown to bits, the sect leader screamed in desperation, claiming that his son would avenge them and that Yi would soon regret his actions. As the dust settled, a box fell to the ground. Yi, unbothered, commented with a smirk that he was excited to meet this so-called immortal son, knowing he would be of great help to him. Just then, he saw people flying toward him and questioned if it was his sect leader. The sect leader, still panicking, stated that Yi was still safe. Yi gave him a dumbfounded look and reminded him that he had told him he was heading here. But before he could say more, the sect leader grabbed his arm and pulled him away, urgently stating that he had gotten lucky. There was supposed to be an elder from the immortal sect coming here, and they needed to leave now. Yi pulled his arm back with a smile, confidently saying, "I already met him, and he's dead." The sect leader shook his head in disbelief, stating that it was impossible. Those from the immortal sect were divine cultivators. But Su smiled and reassured him, saying she had told him that you would be fine. The sect leader remained in shock, but Yi calmly told him that everything was fine, as he too was a divine transformation cultivator. He reminded the sect leader that they should loot this place now, and the leader reluctantly agreed. While Yi looked for loot, the sect leader pondered how his junior brother had become so strong so quickly. Just then, Jiao spoke up, saying they had found a nascent soul pill. The sect leader's face was filled with shock upon seeing such a valuable pill. Yi congratulated the sect leader, stating that this was great news for the sect and that it would only make them stronger. The sect leader thanked Yi for the gift, grateful for the unexpected fortune. Just then, the system chimed in, urging Yi to get moving as there was someone he needed to take as a disciple. The person was 100 kilometers away and was destined to reach the true immortal rank. The system promised that if Yi could bring this person in, the rewards would be amazing. Yi's mind raced as he considered the potential of this mission. If he could pull this off, he would not only level up significantly but also strengthen his position to dominate not just the wasteland, but the entire Qing province in the future. He couldn't waste any time and quickly set his sights on his new goal. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like. It really helps me out.